A very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Ecosystem Open House hosted by T-Hub Hyderabad. Uh, for a quick introduction, my name is Sandhya Deepa and I head up the business management and strategy functions at T-Hub. Our guest today to talk more about Ecosystem Open House and how the business operations function is really driving and enabling T-Hub to build a future-ready innovation ecosystem is Samir Chabra, who is the Vice President of Business Operations at the T-Hub. Samir, welcome Samir, welcome to the open house.
Hi, thank you, everybody.
So warm welcome again, Samir. Samir brings in a vast experience in the space of business operations and previously in the IT space with over 20 years spent across roles spanning business strategy, program management, content, among other areas. And Samir will provide you with deeper insights around the business operations functions at the T-Hub and the role that it plays in helping build a innovation ecosystem. So, we will get started soon. Before that, a quick, housekeeping items that we could all, make note of. As you have questions, I encourage you to put those in the chat box. And the format of this discussion is that we would like to spend some time to talk about the various components of business operations, the role it plays, the unique nature of this area, and also talk a little bit about the future. And as we look at building a future-ready ecosystem in the innovation space, how does this function evolve? So all of that in a discussion format for the first 35, 40 minutes or so. Towards the end, we'll have a question answer session. So at that time, you could also look at the raise your hand button, and you will have an opportunity to ask your questions there as well. And finally, yeah, we would share a link with you to share your thoughts on the session and encourage you to keep us posted about that and let us know if there's any other areas that you are interested in as we look at doing some of these in the future as well. So as we look to start the discussion now, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with T-Hub and the role that it kind of plays in the innovation space. But I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk a little bit more about what T-Hub is and just share a quick perspective about what it does. So really, T-Hub is about enabling, empowering the innovation ecosystem. So as a part of this, it works with a set of stakeholders across startups, corporates, the academia, government, and a host of other ecosystem players to really build the innovation ecosystem. And the kind of the three pillars on which this T-Hub strategy is built. I mean, if we look at startups, I mean, we have tailored interventions and playbooks which are aligned with the specific stage that the startup is in. And there are a host of interventions which involve mentoring, mentoring by industry leaders, providing market access and through that access to customers, and also allowing the startups a broader space where they can interact and learn from each other. The other pillar is around the corporates. So T-Hub also works with corporates to kind of power and drive their own innovation agenda and journey. I mean, as a part of this, looking at and executing various challenges with the corporates, helping them probably move faster, to the market, connecting the corporates to startups which are probably in looking at disruptive areas, and also allowing corporates the broader opportunity to interact with players in the ecosystem, be it academia, be it industry, be it government, and helping them, really absorb and work with them to really build in that innovation related thinking and further their agenda. And as we come to the third pillar, the ecosystem innovation, this is really about powering and driving all other players in the ecosystem. I mean, we could look at other co-innovation players as a part of the Telangana innovation ecosystem, right from the skilling space to the prototyping related entity to entities that look at getting ready to market, to skilling based ones, to the entity focused on women entrepreneurs. So these are some of the players within the Telangana ecosystem innovation space which we work with. And within T-Hub, I mean, we try and focus the broader ecosystem efforts relating to mentoring, to investors, to service providers. Again, working the capacity building piece works with the broader academic institutions and students to how to foster idea-based entrepreneurial thinking and to help them in that journey. Again, programs where we collaborate internationally with trade bodies, with other organizations to help deliver and really accelerate the startups which are looking to at markets. And again, the investment and the funding ecosystem piece where we again work with a broader ecosystem around the investment and funding space, geographically look across geographies and to see how we can really, so it is really about all of these collectively coming together to raise the innovation agenda and also at the same time help each of the different stakeholders in this advance in their own path. So with that as a quick update on the strategy of T-Hub and some of you will also be aware, and we'll talk more about that as discussion progresses about the phase 2 and where those plans are. So that, that being a quick overview of T-Hub and what we are and what we are focused on, I'll quickly turn it over to Samir and maybe Samir, would you want to start off and add a little bit more from your side on what T-Hub is before we really jump on to the business operations side of it?
I think thanks, Sadhya, for the quick introduction to T-Hub. As I think you put it, so T-Hub is an innovation hub and an ecosystem enabler, as we said. We, of course, have T-Hub again means different for different people who are involved with us. Whether you're a stakeholder or whether you see T-Hub from far, everybody has their own definition of T-Hub and interpretation of T-Hub. Commonly, we are known for our space, known for our building. Then there is also at times we're known to be an incubator and for our work that we do with startups. But as you have shared, so I'm sure people who are new on this session know a little bit more about T-Hub, that we are more than just what we are commonly known for. And it's good to kind of give you insights into T-Hub. So the whole idea of doing this ecosystem open house was actually giving a window of view for anybody who is outside T-Hub to also look into how T-Hub is working. This is our way of sharing our IP, our knowledge, our what we have experiences with the larger audience to see if there are some learnings that can happen, and maybe there are other incubators, there are other startups and entrepreneurs who can learn from the way we are doing things. Because at the end of the day, we are ourselves still a startup in a way. We are in our 6th year of our existence. We're going to soon complete 6 years in a couple of months. And so we are also kind of as good as a startup. And so we understand what startups also go through. So this is our way of sharing our knowledge and also learning. So I think that's what I have to add to what you have already covered. So, the 3-pronged strategy that you covered and the 3 focus areas. And we'll focus on a couple of other things which support these 3 areas and how we make it happen.
Great, thanks, Samir. So I think that offers us a good segue into what really the topic of the discussion is about. So Samir, would you like to throw some light on what exactly business operation at T-Hub is and what role it plays in helping T-Hub move ahead on its innovation goals and agenda and building a innovation ecosystem?
Sure. So I think as So just to also share some, to add to what you have introduced about THUB, so just to, for the audience to know, that THUB is actually a Section 8 company. It's a non-for-profit organization. It's a public-private partnership, established with the government of Telangana's support, but run by a board who appoints a CEO and the team. Now, it's important to understand why I'm, stressing on this before even I go to business operations, is to understand is that though we are a non-for-profit, we are not really like any other commercial entity or any other corporate or any other organization that you would come across. But we are also at the moment, as of today, a self-sustaining organization. So we have business units, we have functions which are focused on making sure that we have programs that we support our stakeholders with. Through those programs, people enroll for those programs. The startups, so startup innovation is programs for which startups enroll, as startup is the audience. In corporate innovation, we have programs with corporates that we do, and ecosystem innovation we do programs with where we need to do capacity building, or with some international organization, like-minded international organizations. So all of these entities actually go out and plan programs, which basically at the end of the day, somebody has to pay for it and gets enrolled. So as at THUB, all of our programs, or even if you look at our space or our building, we charge for it. Now these are the three areas that we talked about, like startup innovation, corporate innovation, and ecosystem innovation, have those components where, which help us get in the required, funds to self-sustain ourselves. Now, to support these three functions, there are two functions that are there in THUB. So one is is business operations, and the other is corporate support. So the two functions are basically the horizontals which support these three business verticals. So though I call business operations a support, but it's a business critical function still, because the way we have envision business operations at THUB, it covers all the critical departments that actually support the running of THUB itself. The running of THUB, when it comes to running the building and running whatever happens in this physical space, to the fact that to building the THUB brand, to keeping communicating with our audiences and keeping in touch with them, marketing our programs, to actually running the whole business internally through our processes and through our tools and systems, and of course also through making sure that we have the right culture and the right people in place. So that is what business operation takes care of. So the departments which business operations at THUB covers, and again it's important to understand that business operations is a little bit generic term which we have coined for our convenience, to kind of make sure that there is a function which covers these four business critical support functions, which basically are marketing, business management, human resources, and facilities and REF. So these are the four departments that together form this function. So it's a privilege for me to lead this function with a rockstar team, which supports all the other business functions, which include startup innovation, corporate innovation, ecosystem innovation, to go out. And they are the actual ones front-ending with our end customers or end stakeholders, and we are the one who are enabling them. So in a way, that's why I think the title of this webinar is apt. That because as we say that as THUB we enable the ecosystem. So these are the three front-end functions which go out and do that for us, and we are the function which actually enable the enablers, and we enable THUB to do what we are known for. So that's how critical the business operations function, and these four departments which make up business operations are. And then we can of course talk a little bit more about these departments as we move along. But one thing important to understand, and especially for the audience who are there, and I'm sure many of you would be startups, some of you might also be part of other ecosystem enabler, ecosystem organizations or incubators and others, or accelerators. So it is important to understand is that operations is something that you have to define yourself for, which is relevant for your organization. Generally, in my definition, any function which is not directly related to the sales part of it or the business side of where we are actually selling and making revenue, is one part of the business, and you can easily say the rest, which actually is at the back, holding fort and making sure that it lays the foundation on which the business can run, are what I can loosely say are the business operations. Can cover that. So that's my quick introduction into what is business operations at T-Hub.
I think the enabler of enablers is something I think that's going to stick. So I think in terms of the role that it plays in enabling, as you mentioned, the overall innovation agenda and driving those along with the front ending, the program teams is really what this function is all about. So if we were to peel off the layer a little bit, Sameer, and look at it, one step down and look at little more details around, maybe a lens to use could be what is really unique about these. That's one way to look at it, as compared to say similar functions in say other industries or other ecosystems. So what would be your insight on that?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's from my experience of working with big corporates like Microsoft or Oracle, and when we look at operations, of such big corporates, or working with startups, which I was part of before I joined T-Hub. So they're definitely, the definition of, as I said, operations could mean different to different people. But as I said, it's basically a business critical functions which are supporting the actual revenue-making functions, and more than that, also to the overall brand and image and culture of the organization. So, for example, again, I think T-Hub is in a very unique space, as we shared that we are a non-for-profit, but we are self-sustaining. So that in itself is at times a challenge itself, is that we are not after, we're not like any other corporate or any other revenue organization where making revenue or making profits is the main aim. The main aim of T-Hub is to actually be an ecosystem enabler. But of course, we want to do that without being dependent and still giving value to our stakeholders, right? So the kind of operations to support such a function is also very different. To give you an example, I talk about marketing as a function, which was one of the first ones that when I joined in February 2019, when I joined T-Hub, that was the first department, that I was focusing on, and the other departments have come in a little later, and then we together. So, for example, marketing, the main focus of marketing, in any organization. So when I took up, it was more of a communications organization. It was more of a Marcom, Corpcom kind of an organization, where we have the responsibility of building the T-Hub brand itself. For example, if you see the T-Hub social channels, the T-Hub website, all the PR that you see around T-Hub, and whatever you know about T-Hub, in a way in the public domain, is something that the team manages. Now, that itself is a very critical function for anybody who, if our corporate innovation or startup innovation team go out and talk to people, and if they say, do you know about T-Hub? The chances that they would know T-Hub because of our presence on social media, our presence on internet, the brand that T-Hub has come up. There are, of course, different, contributors to building this brand. So, but at the end of the day, the marketing team make sure that those contributors are, we're using the right mix and we're bringing in the right people to build this brand. So in a way, it has a direct impact. So for us, that's a very critical function of business operations, which enables to build a brand. And then at the end of the day, that is this brand which is taking, and I think one thing which is important also is to, I don't know if how many of the audience here have been following the T-Hub brand since its existence, since it came into existence in 2015, is that we have actually evolved. We have also changed. The brand has changed itself also. And for last 2.5 years that I've been, leading it, I've been, working with our CEO with the vision that the organization took up, and with my team being led by Nidhi and Mandar and Shankar being part of that, along with our agencies that support us. We have been trying to, kind of build this image of T-Hub being an ecosystem enabler. As I said, it was known as incubator, and or just the building. But we have at least made an effort to make sure that we are known for our, the innovation ecosystem that we are building. And and that hopefully there has been some change, which based on the feedback that we got, but there's still more to do because there's a lot of perceptions that we have to move against. So these are like where the marketing becomes a very critical function, independent itself. But now under the fold of business operation, what it helps is that the kind of now that we are, as I said, we started as a Marcom organization, but now we're going into a demand gen and a lead gen focused also, because we need to make sure that the right startups, across the country, across the world are aware of the programs that T-Hub is doing, and they can make the best of these programs and benefit from these programs. So that means we have to take it to the right audience, and we need to make sure that they understand our programs and enroll for them and make the best of, take the best out of it. For that, we are now getting into a strategy where we're actually working on demand gen and lead gen. Now that again, independently, marketing would be challenging for any organization, but because we have business management as one of the departments, which has one of the charter for that, which again you leads, and there is to ensure that we have the right tools and systems in place to support all our internal processes. Now, marketing automation and all of that with the help of BM and all being under business operations is another unique reason that these two departments kind of are bundled into this function. And there's a lot of collaboration that happens. For example, the website content and the website is owned by marketing, but the way website is hosted and the technical side of it is business management. And they both departments being in one function, it kind of helps us in managing these things pretty well. And so is along with other functions, and we can talk about them.
Yeah, great. So I think, yeah, Samir, so you also mentioned earlier about how T-Hub is kind of also a startup in that sense, that we are in the 6th year of our journey, and there are definitely parallels that can be drawn to see how we run and manage operations, probably which could be takeaways for, I'm sure, some of the startups who are also on this discussion. So from that standpoint, I mean, maybe you mentioned business management, probably we could amplify a little bit on what role does that function play in terms of helping assess the performance, and probably that could be an outside-in perspective for some of the audience on trying to understand how does a business get managed, what are some of the metrics that get tracked, or what is the importance of doing some of that, and really at an organizational level, how do some of these really help us track our own performance?
No, I think the bedrock of the business operations team and the whole operations of any organization is and that department in our T-Hub is business management. Now, the word itself is self-explanatory. It's a department that focuses on managing to run the business of T-Hub. So this department is focused on making sure that whatever whatever are our objectives and goals that the organization has signed up for, we are focused on that. Each and every other function and department has committed to what they're going to contribute and what are they going to be their objectives and their KRAs for this year. So business management makes sure that each one of this is kind of aligned to that, and there is a regular progress happening on that. So business management is that way is a very critical function for any organization, whatever you call it. Let's maybe not get into the nomenclature of it and what you call in your organization, but I think it's very critical to have a function in any organization, which core goal is to make sure that they are keeping track of the overall progress, as are other functions who are upward looking and going out and talking to the stakeholders, getting business. There's somebody at the back who's also helping them keep track of where are they going? Are they going in the right direction? Are they in line with the objectives that have been set for the organization? Or are they, are they meeting their required objectives? Keep their progress in check. And also this helps the management. This helps the larger team to not lose their vision and keep a check on that. And along with that, the way we have configured business management at T-Hub is to also make sure that the same department is also responsible, as I shared a moment back, responsible for the tools and systems in the organization and the technical side of things. So the fact that if there is a business unit and if there is, we're talking about that they're making progress on the business, it is the same, this department itself who's actually enabling the businesses to track that information through dashboards. And we have, and give them the systems and tools which, which everybody in the company can use to kind of, input their data. And again, that is very important part. And I think especially for startup founders who are here, from my experience of working with startups and again being a T-Hub and interacting with other founders, somehow it feels like that this is not the most critical thing on any founder's mind or any team's startup's mind when they're starting. Because for them, the starting is the whole technology piece is generally where it starts. And then is the business piece where you have to make sure that you're getting the revenues in place. There's very, limited bandwidth or resources of focus for a startup to focus on how is my, house running? Is it my house is in order and are there systems, processes and tools in place to run? But I'm very sure and being part of a startup which through my journey has gone through from being just a seed funded to a series A to a B funding funded startup, the importance and criticality of collecting data, using the right tools and systems in place and doing regular cadence of doing reviews and tracking the right metrics becomes so critical as you go up in your valuation and in your next round of funding. Because as you go to Series A's and B's, the VCs are looking at a certain amount of data, certain amount of metrics and all that. And again, if you start working on that, say when you're already 3 or 4 or 5 years into your existence, it's very difficult to go back and start collecting that data. So I think we as any organization, even when you are a small organization just starting, I think you have to give importance to collecting data, using the right tools and systems. And especially now, there are tools and systems which are available, which are free to use. There are some of them which actually come at very minimal in subscription cost and all that. So it's not like it's a huge cost. It's just that the founders who are starting up and maybe the key people who start are out of the founding team need to be savvy about collecting data and using the tools and systems. So that is something that I think we as T-Hub also kept mind, and we have already using it. And over the last 2 years, we already had one on the Zoho platform, when I joined, but we were hardly using it. But now, to an extent, that we are actually have our CRM, we have our all the business critical functions, we have our HRs, whether that is payroll, recruitment, or some of these functions are already on this platform. So I think that's a very important part. So I think, again, just to summarize on this, I think it is the way we have business operations, there are 2 parts to it. One part is the part of making sure that we ensure that the objectives are set for the organization, the business plans are set for the organization. There are clear KRAs for the functions for the whole year, and then we keep a track of them throughout the year and helping them do that. And the second part is the tools and systems part, which also in a way enables to do the first part, but also helps further in making sure that all the SOPs and processes which are just on paper at times are also being enforced through proper systems and tools. And that helps us get very critical information, because when the data goes in, when everybody starts putting, it's like drops of which kind of, kind of make up the ocean types. And then we can now, after collecting this data over these years, now the way we have actually created our dashboards are actually helping each and every function to manage their business better, manage their programs better, and definitely at the end of the day, the overall management to also look at, have a quick view into how T-Hub is moving and in the right direction. So that is my thought. And again, I would like you, as you lead this department, if you have anything to add to it, which I might have missed.
Thanks, Kabir. I think that's very well put. Really, to summarize, I think from managing the end-to-end, the planning process, to really monitoring progress, to really to kind of draw a parallel. Yeah, the plane has taken off. So we hopefully provide those controls and some of the metrics that you need to keep track of, like the fuel, your speed, the direction for the plane and the organization in this case. So
No, I think that's a good example, Sandhya, that you've taken. For example, it's actually, like driving a car or flying without, the kind of meters telling you where you are and what speed it is. And so we help at least to know that it's in the right direction. That's a great example.
Thanks, Amit. So shifting gears a little bit, let's talk a little bit about the facilities space, because as a part of an innovation ecosystem, along with startups, it really takes on the additional dimension beyond what such a function traditionally is probably across, industry, other organizations. So maybe would you want to use the uniqueness of this space to really talk a little bit about what the significance of this function is in the team?
Absolutely. And I think facilities, or as some in some other organizations, it's called RE&F, or real estate and facilities, is a very critical organization of T-Hub. Again, you'll hear me using the word critical because for nearly all my departments, because they are very critical to the existence of T-Hub. For example, as I've said, the T-Hub has been known for its building. This T-Hub building in IIIT campus, and now the phase 2 building that you just showed a quick glimpse of, that there's a lot of interest in this the space of T-Hub. Though we always said that we are more than just the space, because the space kind of binds us to a physical location, when actually all our programs, whether it is startup innovation, corporate innovation, or anything, the programs are at least national and international level. So when we do a corporate program and all that, we go for startups across. Now today, when we are doing a startup, Lab 32 program, the startups are applying for this program across the country, right? So it's not restricted. But again, a very critical part of T-Hub's identity is the T-Hub building, which is the current building, and also even a bigger and a better building which is coming up. So this space that we are sitting at the moment of, and which is the T-Hub, building in IIIT campus. When it was built, it was India's biggest innovation space, and now the building that we are, phase 2, what we call phase 2, will be actually the world's biggest innovation space. So, and to run this is not an easy thing, but with a very, a small team of very dedicated people, we have been able to run it so far, since our existence. So Raghavendra, Pandu, as team members, have been running it from kind of as good as its existence. And then, about 1.5 years back, we were joined by Srinivas, who heads this team now and reports to me. And so this is just a 3-member team, which is very well supported by other support organizations, that has been running this space of, and also working with the government of Telangana to ensure that we are ready for phase 2, which again has been we have been hoping to move to phase 2 for a while now, but then because of the current COVID situation and all, some of those plans have been delayed, and they have moved further down. So maybe in the next couple of months we should be able to, definitely within this year, we should be able to move in. But again, we don't have, we are looking for that exact date, and we'll, of course, as soon as that is finalized, I'm sure the world will know about it. And I know there is a lot of, people are waiting for that, and we are also, but the work is progressing well. Now, as I say that, I think it is important to two parts which I want to cover here with this team, is that again, when we say that we are an ecosystem enabler, I think the space has played a very critical role for us. Yes, I know in the present time, in the post-COVID, in the new normal, physical space have kind of at times lost the actual meaning because of the work from home and remote scenarios. People are not turning up at offices, and organizations are not expecting their employees to turn up at offices. But if you come to T-Hub today, there are about a couple of hundred people already working out of the space, and we are giving them a safe environment to make them, give that confidence. So this whole thing of dealing with this situation in the last 1.5 years, the team has done an awesome job of making sure the space is safe for people to come. They have the confidence to come, and that also is shown by the T-Hub team itself coming to office and working out of this. But again, the way that this building has been done and maintained has been a very open space. So it is not, again, we have not always limited it to just T-Hub as such. This has become, T-Hub has become a T-Hub space, and the facilities team has enabled it to become an epicenter of the whole, the innovation ecosystem of at least Hyderabad and Telangana. No, that is so critical that actually, if any, CEO of any multinational or any head of state or stay, a country or state or a minister, any team would ever visit Hyderabad, T-Hub has been on their agenda. And we are actually, in a couple of weeks, going to host the standing committee, Government of India Standing Committee for, on IT, who are visiting Hyderabad. So that access to such eminent people, access to such eminent personalities from the corporate world, from the innovation ecosystem, physical access, and kind of is another unique thing which adds to the whole brand of T-Hub, the whole offering of T-Hub. And again, we have common spaces in T-Hub which actually people can use. So again, this is open for any entrepreneur to come and work out of. We have give them, flexi space to a fixed seat to cabins, and they can choose to space and at a very nominal, rate that way compared to any other co-working space which only offer just the space. But again, T-Hub offers us the whole network and the whole access to these set of people that keep visiting us. And then we also have a very common event space, which has been another place which the ecosystem has utilized very well to organize events and which are relevant for the startup, for the corporate innovation. So which are very so if you, for example, we had the embassy, the consulate of United States wanted to do a couple of events for innovation related to innovation. Now they could have said that organization, any big corporate, go to any 5-star or any banquet to do that, but they prefer to do it at T-Hub because they know that when their audience comes to know that this event is happening at T-Hub, there is that association that it is going to be related to innovation, entrepreneurship, and technology. So that itself, and all of this has been kind of possible to a large extent because of the way we have maintained, and the facilities team has done an awesome job of maintaining it. And we are working very hard to make sure that the new space that we're getting becomes the microcosm of the innovation ecosystem of this, not just the city, state, and the country, but actually it's going to be a microcosm of the innovation ecosystem at large, because we're looking at not just startups, but corporates, but other trade organizations, commercial organizations, and ecosystem enablers, all kind of, making the use of that space and working out of it. So this proximity, and hopefully as we are getting back to office, as hopefully there is no new wave coming and all that, and we are all going to take the precautions of getting vaccinated and doing whatever is required. We're looking forward to that, that space will be again buzzing, and with the right people and the right mix of people in the space would actually help the ecosystem and help us grow and the entrepreneurs to do better.
Great. I think for some of us who were here over the, the Independence Day weekend, that Friday could have shown a very good example of what Samir is talking about in terms of startups coming together, spending time and more of peer-to-peer interaction, and really facilitated and driven largely by, facilitating and creating opportunities to offer such collaboration. So that's something that we hope to continue to do, and just an example of amplifying what Samir has already shared. So Samir, I think the last function within this operations is what is probably also the backbone of any organization, the talent or the HR. So really about talent acquisition to retention to running all the processes. I'm sure it plays a very crucial role in and also learnings in terms of how this function also evolves in an organization like the T-Hub, which could serve as takeaways for the startup. So would you have a comment or two on that as well?
Sure. So again, I think but maybe this is a good time to also plug in again, is that there is one other reason that actually all these different departments which might be disconnected to each other, but again are under business operations at T-Hub is also one of the reasons where And is that the reason that why is it under this function? And one of the reasons is that, again, because I'm the one, the departments report to me, and the reason that they do, because I'm not an HR say domain expert, neither am a facilities domain expert. But I think one thing which is very important, and I lay a lot of importance to, and which is where I think these 4 departments kind of, the common thread which comes across is the whole bit of a kind of a experience, a focus on providing services, supporting the business, and giving them the experience to internal stakeholders as if it was as good as our external customers. So that kind of is the common thread where we are important, is this whole providing this whole consistent experience to our stakeholders. And each one of our departments are doing their own bit in doing that. So when it comes to HR, I think in the organization, what my personal thought was that HR was one of the organizations, one of the departments in T-Hub, which was doing its bit and keeping all the taking care of all the right things and have the basics in place. But as HR processes goes, as employee centricity goes, a lot of the tools and systems and processes which were still there in our SOPs, but maybe were not implemented. So in a way, we have always, the T-Hub brand has always attracted really smart people who have come and worked with us in the last 6 years. I can clearly say now 6 because it's just a few months away. And I think I want to, of course, I think T-Hub is existing today because of each and everybody, from the first person who joined T-Hub to the last person who joined T-Hub last week. All of them have contributed in building what T-Hub is. Every employee, every intern, every advisor that has been a part of T-Hub has enabled us to build this brand as T-Hub. Now the question is always there is, has T-Hub done enough to also, in a way, make sure that we are putting in the right processes in place and that focus on HR. So definitely, we have tried to do that, with the team that we have with Pawan and Geeta. They were doing a good job of holding that fort. Pawan has been doing it for a few years for us. But I think there was this, what I have tried to help with the team since I've taken up this team from January this year is to bring in, from my experiences of working with big corporates, working with Microsoft or Oracle or Sapient or other organizations, is to bring, certain processes. For example, one of the key processes that, Ravi, who was our CEO, had introduced, when he joined in, was the whole thing of the KRAs and KPIs for individuals and kind of the individual review process or performance appraisals happening through a proper systemic process of KPIs and KRAs. I'm sure they were happening earlier, but they were not, systemized, or tools were there, or recording of that and properly tracking of it, and then directly connecting it with their increments of promotions and other such development things. We were on that track for the last few years, and we had made some progress. But then in the last review, we took it to the next level and we kind of made it a little more formal. We're already kind of, working on getting some of the process, for example, the tools like the Zoho platform. So HR now, is completely on the HR, on the Zoho platform. So HR has basically two key functions, and one is to, of course, run the current organization with the current people, making sure that we are taking care of our employees and making sure that we are able to imbibe that values of the organization and the culture of the organization. But another critical part which has been, and especially since the last few years, where we have actually seen a growth. So as I said, we are ourselves a startup, so we are on the growth stage of at the moment, and we have been hiring at a much faster pace over the last year or two. So that hiring and recruitment becomes another very critical part of HR. And we have actually started working with our external agencies. We've actually taken up Zoho Recruit as a tool, so to kind of manage all the applications which are coming in and the process. To an extent that now we are also working on, we're re-looking at every process that we had in HR to refresh, whether it's an onboarding process or even it's offboarding. So employee experience is at the center of it, like it is for marketing in this function. The experience of our internal stakeholders is at the center of it. whether when we are helping market the programs, or whether we are keeping the T-Hub brand in mind and the experience of our end user, whether we talk about business management, where again our internal stakeholders experience is critical. We're talking about facilities where the experience of every visitor, every guest, and our own people who are working out of T-Hub, the experience is so important. So these are the common things which all of our departments are focusing on. And HR is another critical department for T-Hub. And the collaboration, because it's under business operations, has helped us take up some of these systems and tools, and this collaboration is working well to an extent that now even we have started to build this T-Hub as an employer brand. And just over the last 1 month, we have actually started 2 series. If you follow us on our social channels, if you're not, all the people on the call should follow us on our social channels to know best about T-Hub. Please make sure you do that. We'll flash the handles, towards the end of the call. And we have just started that, where we are actually taking the stories of people who have been part of T-Hub. We're calling it the people of T-Hub. And we are also started to now make sure that all the new employees who are joining in are also welcomed, and we put them on the social. So these are the things that, HR as a function is taking care. And I think we are on a path of continuous improvement, listening to our stakeholders, taking their feedback, implementing those feedbacks and improving our processes and tools, so that we are agile and when we're doing that, and we are enabling our stakeholders to be successful, because if they are successful, we are successful. That is the mantra that we follow.
Great. Thanks, Samir. I think in terms of, I hope the audience has found the insight on how we, how these functions come together and how business operations really strings these and plays that crucial enabler role to really help T-Hub move forward on its innovation agenda and build the innovation ecosystem. And we hope you took away some of those key.
So just one quick, Sandhya, but just a quick part, and I of course want to mention the other support function, a critical support function, which is corporate support, which my friend Sudhir heads as head of the function, which includes 2 departments, which is finance and also admin and procurement. These are again 2 critical functions, which again for the right reason are under a separate function, but are again which enable and which follow the same focus that we have as at business operations to kind of make sure that T-Hub as an organization is moving in the right direction. We are aligned to the vision that has been set by our leaders, the board. What we have committed to our stakeholders, and we are aligned to that, and we're moving in that direction, and keeping us honest. We keep making sure that we're moving, taking the right steps in the right direction. So I just wanted to plug in, because that's another critical support function, which helps T-Hub run the way it runs.
Thanks, Amit. I think that's useful to know. We already have some questions that have come in.
Sure.
So let's go take those. So the first question is around, how do we bring multiple stakeholders together to support a new strategic plan?
I think to bring the multiple stakeholders together, I think it's very important to have one clear objective, because there has to be, we have to align everybody under a certain objective or an umbrella. So I think it's very important for the leaders of the organizations, the top leadership, to have a clear objective on what is the purpose of this organization, for example. What is that we're trying to achieve? And that becomes that one central objective for which everybody has to align themselves. And I think I can't, spend enough time to stress on the importance of alignment. I think it is for any organization, each and every employee, each and every department, each and every function, whether you agree, whether you disagree, or whether you agree to disagree, has to be aligned toward that one objective that has been set. There can be situations where you maybe not agree to the objective, or you have your thoughts about the objective. Please do share those feedback. Please do share that with the concerned stakeholders in your organization, to your leaders, to your managers, if you're if it's related to people and their respective responsibilities, right? So people managers have a critical role to play. And that goes up to from the first level manager to the CEO of the organization. But at the end of the day, the organizations has to be to work towards a certain objective. So the best to bring different stakeholders, I think first of all we need to have those objectives, and then we need to make sure that each of these functions, each of these leaders, which have different, they're coming from different backgrounds, they're coming from different experiences, they're different domains. How each one of them is contributing towards that objective, that should be clear. And that is an effort every organization does when you do that business planning. I think this whole exercise of doing an annual business plan, and coming up with the objectives of each organization and the KRAs or KPIs for functions. I think we should not mix them up with the KRAs or KPIs as an individual that I have in doing my job. Of course, they all should all sum up to that larger objectives. But I think the first stage is to make sure that there are objectives of the organization which are clear. And then each function has the objectives and KRAs in place, which how they will enable the organization's objectives. And once you have said that, is when you can actually go to the next level of setting the KRAs and KPIs of an individual to make sure what they should do to achieve their respective functions objective and then the organization's objective. So this alignment is very clear, and that is the only way to kind of bring diverse folks and diverse people under in line. And it's again not an easy job. I think that's the whole business world or corporate world or any organization goes through the challenges. So a lot depends on individuals, and that's why it's very critical to have the right people at the right positions and with the right attitude in place. And again, one thing which I have learned in my experience, which I would like to share, is that the attitude and culture trumps the skills and what you bring to the table. If you might be the smartest guy on the team, the best sales guy or the best developer on the team, but if your attitude is not in place, if you are not aligned to the organization's cultures, I think that person is not as good as what they think they are. So very important to hire people who are aligned with your culture and your objectives. I think the rest we can all work to on the skills part and teach them, but it's very difficult to teach some of those other basics.
Sure, absolutely. I think alignment is the word, and alignment to the common purpose, to the goals, to the plans and the broader vision is really the starting point and the bedrock for a common strategic plan which brings together multiple stakeholders. Absolutely. I think the next question is really around attracting startups. So as this is a really crucial feature for any good innovation ecosystem, I mean, what do we do to attract good startups, and how do we solve for this aspect?
So I think as T-Hub, I think our focus is not to attract good startups. Our focus is to attract the startups who see the value in the programs that we're offering. And our intent is to actually make sure that once they're part of our programs, once they have gone through a program, they definitely become good or better than what they came in as. So I think we are not really hunting for good startups, or we are hunting for startups. We basically in our programs, if you look at programs, and again, that is where I would want you to please make sure that you visit our website, t-hub.co, or our social channels to check our programs which are currently running or which we have done in the past, and subscribe to those, follow us on our social channels on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, Instagram, and we are there on all social channels to keep track of the new programs that are coming. It's very important to understand that our programs come with a clear objective and a clear end goal that we want to achieve. So and these things, and we design our programs after listening to our startups or in the ecosystem, and what is the general need of the startup at a certain stage of their growth. And one thing which, again, I think very important for all of us to understand is that it is our endeavor at T-Hub to be part of the entire journey of a startup or a corporate. We want to be part of your growth journey, your innovation journey throughout. So we just don't want you to be engaged with T-Hub with just for one program and another. We have actually a series of programs that we have at the moment, and we continue to build more programs which will help startups, and you can find the right stages in your journey where you can want to engage with T-Hub. So if So we are already listening to you. We're already listening to the startups. We are creating our programs which are, handling specific problem statements and problem areas. And if the startups who think that that these are the problems that they want to solve, for example, marketing or go-to-market, or or their product strategy is something, then that Lab 32 might be the best program for them to apply for. So definitely that is how we would attract and so so I think the two things which actually help us make sure that we get the right startups is, first of all, the programs that we design and the contours of that program align with what the startups needs are. Then of course our program teams and our marketing, we make sure that we take this message to the startups across the world, across the country, and across the audience through organic and inorganic campaigns, and whatever way possible, through emails, through social channels, to tell the world that there is this kind of a program existing and you should get enrolled to it. Because I think we would have not done our job if we don't share this message and we go to the right startups who actually need us, and we need them. So in a way, it is our duty to do that. So we kind of attract the startups to by making sure that we design programs that are relevant for startups. That's why we have multiple programs. We have Lab 32, we have Trestle, we have T-Angel, and many more such programs for startups. Same with corporates, because corporates are also at different stages of their innovation journey. So for corporates, what we do is we actually work with them and design those programs. And some of them are actually where we actually connect those the corporates to a startup. Because at the end of the day, I think one point which is important to understand here, maybe I want to plug in, is that I think if you look at the central government or other state governments, where a lot of focus is there, and that only is on startups, like the Startup India program and others. But I thought at times, one critical part which this whole plan misses is that startup is more like a supply. Now there is, if you're having a supply of these startups who are trying to bring the solutions, each startup at the end of the day needs a customer to sell their solutions. So there has to be enough demand for that. So we as T-Hub kind of understood that a little earlier, and that's why we built a very strong corporate innovation program to an extent that we can call it that we have the best corporate innovation program in the country. So that we have engaged our corporates and we are actually creating demand for these startups also. So we're kind of plugging that together. So that benefit and the networking that we provide, the programs that we design, are some of the things which attract the best startups to kind of work with T-Hub and and kind of make the best of the offers that we have. And again, once you are associated with us, again, even if I think any startup, even if you're waiting for another program to come in or anything, even if you don't have any specific problem statement in mind, but you have a very generic problem statement, you can still be part of our community program. So our T-Hub has a community program where startups can join us, be part of it, remain part of that community program. They can always move into another program, spend that 2-3 months there in a cohort, come back to the community program, so that you are continuously associated with us and we are able to help you. We are able to provide all the services that we get. So we have a lot of corporates who provide benefits to startups through us. So, many of the startups join us to just get those benefits, and we're happy to share them with the network of startups that we have. So these are all the reasons to kind of, to get the right startups associated with T-Hub.
Great.
I don't know.
I think we are pretty much approaching the end of the time. I think I saw some other questions, but hopefully, Sameer, your response has kind of answered those queries as well. I know we are a minute left. So I would encourage all of you who have more questions that we could not solve for to reach out to us. The contacts have been shared. Please do also follow us on our social media handles so that you are up to speed on the latest that is happening at the T-Hub. We hope this session was useful in providing an inside peek into the workings of the T-Hub and how the entire ecosystem comes together to kind of help and build an innovation ecosystem and help make it future ready and kind of proof it to all of the happenings, and to still make sure we are on the path that we are advancing the innovation agenda. So we had a great time in this discussion. We hope you had some good takeaways as well. Like I said, please do follow us on our social media handles and do reach out to us. You could reach out to either me, that is sandhya.deepa@thehub.co, or Samir. The coordinates will be shared. If you have any follow-up questions, we're more than happy to get back to you.
And do visit our website. I think some of the questions I see about what are the events that keep happening at T-Hub, or what get a video tour of T-Hub. So the tour or that is available on our website. So do visit t-hub.co. And if you go to the About Us page, you will get a tour, a virtual tour of T-Hub. You can always visit us in person also. We are open, and we are open to take you through the place. We also have the events page there on the website and all that. So what are the events happening at T-Hub? You can always organize your events at T-Hub also, and you can reach out to us through our website.
So thanks everyone again for taking the time. We hope you found the session informative and insightful. Please do keep in touch, and thank you once again. Thank you, Samir, for being our guest.
Thank you,
shared
Sandhya.
a link to the survey, so please do fill in and share us your feedback so that we can, we do know what are the areas, the topics that are of interest, and we kind of keep having those coming up for you in the coming weeks. So thank you so much once again. It was a pleasure hosting this session for you, and we look forward to interacting with you again in the future. Thank you and have a nice afternoon.